Latest info from the PGA Tour, local tournaments, and tips for your golf game. And now, your host, Phil Kosin on 670 The Score.
Thank you, boys. You know, Dave, that NASCAR Dave, that's a song that's a polka. Now, there's an old one for a change. That one goes back to World War I.
Now, who said that?
Larry Welk. Anyway, that's we dug that one out of the vault here at the Score, our vast music library. That is the Thunderstorm polka.
You know, there are just so many that they all seem to sound like the same now to me.
Well, a lot of people, you're not Polish. You're not Polish-American, are you?
No, I'm not.
Well, see, that's the difference. You just don't get it. You have to be Polish-American to understand.
Well, excuse me. I'm sorry.
Well, I think there's a polka gene. If you would, I'm not going there about X-raying the head of a Polish American, and we're not going there. But anyway, I just wanted to call everyone's attention. We have a lot of golfers in the audience. They're getting ready to go play today, and this plays into my hands for a yearly warning that I like to give everybody, and I'm going to do it whether people like it or not, because every year in the Chicago area, it seems, we have a lightning incident at a golf course. And, yeah, we have a lot of golf courses here, but still, standing under a tree ain't going to get it done for you. And let me just do this. Thunderstorms are nothing new to those of us who play golf in Chicago. While quite spectacular, thunderstorms don't always arrive from elsewhere. They can quickly explode overhead almost instantly and produce high winds, heavy rain, damaging hail, and dangerous lightning. We're getting into that season again. You're going to see it today when cold fronts crash into warm, humid air and violent storms result. Every year, a few readers and listeners call to complain that their local golf course failed to provide players with an early warning. This is the whole point. The first three sentences were like an intro. We all know those things, but I just have to do it because there may be one person out there that doesn't understand the correlation between lightning and thunderstorms. They're probably a member of the PGA Tour. Did I say that? Anyway.
It's on tape. Yes, you said it out loud.
All right. Every year, a few readers and listeners call to complain that their local golf course failed to provide players with an early warning when violent storms with cloud-to-ground lightning were rolling in. Sad to say, and this goes back a few years, because I actually wrote this a few years ago, nothing has changed. The current legal climate still encourages golf courses, among other entities, not to issue lightning warnings, even though some pretty high-tech lightning detection devices are available. Now, being a clear-thinking person, you're saying to yourself, why would they not want to warn people? Well, unfortunately, it's not the money for the system, for a warning system that prevents golf courses and other entities where there's outdoor activity. That could be an amusement park. It could be a water park. The reason that they don't warn people is it's a legal ramification. If a golf course advertises, either through a sign or any other means, that it has a lightning detection and warning system in place to warn players, it automatically assumes full liability if anyone is injured or killed by lightning, even if the system fails to detect an early strike or somehow malfunctions. So as soon as they tell you when you get there that they put up a sign that said lightning detection system in place, and they tell you that, which implies that they're going to give you a warning, they assume the liability, and you just can't do that because none of these things are perfect, and these cases could be a legal nightmare. One of the most popular warning systems today is the ThorGuard lightning prediction system, which scientifically predicts probability of a lightning strike, including the very first strike. Now, there are other systems that track lightning coming in from another area, and they produce a notice based on the actual occurrence of lightning hitting, but that's all after the fact. The lightning's already hit. If you're at a golf course and the storm just happens, you're bad luck, it just happens to form overhead, this warning system tells you that the conditions are right and a lightning strike is imminent. Now, there are also lightning protection systems, I think made by the same company, but those are made to cover large open areas. And usually you'll see them if they have one, they'll have it near the clubhouse where the guys coming in off the course would park their carts before taking shelter indoors. But a lot of courses don't advertise that to players either. Regrettably, that's going to remain the case due to the aforementioned liability factor. The laws, and I think this would be federal, but those laws need to be changed. And while we're on the subject, far be it from me to ever step on my soapbox here, but I don't think there's enough lightning shelters on golf courses. And, use your head. When you pull up underneath one of those are fine if it's just, a shower or something like that, although you never know when there's going to be an embedded thunderstorm and lightning. But if those shelters on a golf course do not have a lightning rod, then that's really not much protection at all. So I guess until someone changes laws, we're on our own regarding lightning, and so let's just use our best instinct when the skies get dark and foreboding, and I think we're going to see that today. I don't see anything. I'll look at the radar again, but when I looked at 5:30, there was nothing in the area. But as we get to 8 o'clock, the chance of precipitation and lightning and thunderstorms starts to increase. 8 o'clock, it's 15%, and at 9 o'clock this morning, it's 60%. So there must be, we'll look for a line coming in. And you just want to pay attention to the skies. And we have a long season ahead of us, and we want to make sure that you guys are protected, and that's why it's the season. We want to keep you safe. So use your head out there. Don't say it only happens once. And I once was on a golf course, and it didn't even, there was a little shower, and then it stopped raining, and then we were out in the middle of the fairway, and all of a sudden, all the hair on my arm stood up. And instinctively, one of the other guys, at the same time, two of us yelled, hit the deck, and everybody got down because they were so shocked as to what was happening, and a lightning bolt came right across. It was one of those lateral ones that went right across and hit a tree right on the other side of the fairway, and that's about as close as I ever want to get. There's a lot of golf to be played, and I want to be around for it. So, all right, we'll take a break. We've got some great guests today. Our first guest will be the winner of the PGA of America's Lifetime Achievement Award. He has won probably every major writing award that they hand out to golf writers. He's covered golf for the Detroit News and the Detroit Free Press for over 40 years. He's written for Chicagoland Golf as a columnist, since the early 1990s, 1993, I think. And, of course, I'm talking about our own Detroit born, bred, and it's in his blood, Jack Barry. And then during the second hour of the show, it'll be a real treat because we're going to bring in, if you have a problem with your game, Jack Barry's not the guy to ask. Although he does have 2 more holes in one than I do, and I don't have any. We're going to have Doc Jim Sutty in here because he's getting ready to pack it up in Florida and come to Chicago and ply his craft in the barn at the end of the Cog Hill Range. So if you have a question about your swing, then you want to hang around for that second hour because we'll open up the phone lines and you can ask questions of, they bill him as a top 50 teacher, but really he's probably one of the top 10 in the country as far as teaching goes, and maybe even the top 5. I'll ask him where he would put himself. I like to put him on the spot. We'll take a break. This is the Chicagoland Golf Show. I'm Phil Kosin. You're listening to The Score, Sports Radio 670, and this is CBS Radio Chicago. Yeah, we get to go to Detroit. That would be Detroit, Michigan, the home of the Big Three. And I don't know how long we're going to find out. I already introduced them before we did this segment, so Jack, don't think I'm stiffing you because I gave you a glowing. You can listen to the podcast. I gave you a glowing introduction about all your awards, etc., etc., etc. So anyway, we bring in our friend, a columnist for Chicagoland Golf, and a guy who knows. Well, in Michigan, I forgot to tell everybody you were in the State Golf Hall of Fame, and you are known as Mr. Golf in Michigan, but it's not because of your game.
Hey, come on. I mean, just because I hate water holes. Come on.
Well, you have a jacket. You know how you see it at a drug raid where you'll see FBI and DEA and stuff like that on the back of those jackets? You have one that says aquaphobe.
That is correct. I must admit that.
How many holes? I was telling everybody before. I said I think you have 2 holes in one more than I do, and I don't have any except for the 18th hole at Ziggy Troy Adventure Golf.
That is correct. I do have 2.
You have 2?
Yeah, I have one up at Boyne Mountain playing with the owner, and Chuck Mall, who was the general manager, and a couple other folks, and my ball was in the hole. And then I had one at the Orchards down in the Detroit area where the U.S. Public Links a few years back.
That was a golf course where they pulled my chain. It's built on a natural gas reserve. Is that what it is?
That is correct.
Yeah. And they told me, in those days I was smoking, they told me you're not allowed to smoke because of the gas underground. And I'll be damned, for 9 holes I believed them, and then I came in at the turn and they were all laughing at me.
Well, it is funny that they powered their carts with natural gas, which was, wow, that was real revolutionary at the time. But then as gasoline prices went down, they went to convert to all regular type gas or electric carts, and now it would be very green if they had stuck with the natural gas cart. Strange.
Well, thing. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I don't know what it is. It sounds like you're breaking up when I talk, so we'll take longer pauses. It's one of these it's like being on the satellite TV or whatever. I think wasn't I playing with you and Terry Moore when I almost put it in a hole on a fly over at Valhalla that one day?
That is correct.
Took out half the cup and it hit the stick and stopped, I don't know, 5 feet away, and of course I walked up and missed the putt.
Well, you are such an unerring putter.
It was funny because I had Kevin Weeks on last week, and he's the one down at Cog Hill that's got that perfectly flat surface putting gizmo that actually quantifies the putting stroke. He's the first one that's ever come up with a device that actually does what it says it does. And the day that I went over there to look at it was during the Western Open, and of course the place was full of tour players, all wanting Kevin to look at their putting stroke. And if for no other reason, to make a video record of their putting stroke at that point in time, because they were putting well, and then they figured that if something went wrong, they could always go back quietly and ask to see the old putting stroke compared to the new putting stroke and maybe make those fixes. But from 18 feet, he told my listeners last week, and I of course I'm embarrassed, but not that much because I'm talking about it this week, but from 18 feet I made 9 in a row with somebody else's putter.
Did you keep that putter?
No. No, you know what? I know people, and you do too, people that have like 30 putters.
Right.
When I was playing at Golf Club of Illinois in the old days, and Pat O'Brien was the PGA professional, Pat had a real good case of the yipperoonies, but it was not chronic. It would kind of pop its head up, of course, at the wrong time, like within 5 minutes after somebody going press. He had probably 30 putters lined up against the wall in his office, and he was always one to blame the putter. And I just can't do that. I've always held the opinion, and I've expressed it on this show, that if you're a really good putter, you could use a 2x4, because it doesn't matter what kind of shaft it has or what, as long as you put it on the right line for the speed that you're going to hit it and you get the pace right, the ball's going to go in the hole or come close to it. And you could a good putter, like Lauren Roberts or Tiger Woods could putt with a 2x4 and do reasonably well. That's not what the putter manufacturers want you to know.
I think it all goes back to the guy holding the club. And if you got it, you got it. If you don't, you don't. You can have every one of those 30 putters. But I like a blade putter, and I've stuck with the same one that I've had for years. And some days I have good days, and some days I don't.
I'll tell you a funny story. When they opened up, I'm trying to think what year it was, 93, I think it was. Somehow I got invited. We were at Baltusrol for the U.S. Open. You probably had an invitation, too. They opened up the Jack Nicklaus exhibit at Golf House. And right. I actually had to go. Well, I went into New Jersey because they don't have sales tax on their clothing there. I had to buy a sport jacket because I never travel with a sport jacket. I bring plenty of golf shirts to a tournament. And I figured this was a jacket kind of a thing at Golf House, the headquarters of the USGA in Far Hills, New Jersey. And we got there, and someone parked the car for us, and I'm glad I did buy a sport jacket. I mean, we were dressed nice, but it was a who's who of everybody in the world of golf. And I thought, God, what am I doing here? And upstairs, they had 3 rooms of Jack Nicklaus memorabilia in cases for the public to come through and look at. And, of course, everything was well marked. And so it turned into, it was a cocktail party. They didn't really have any, they had a ribbon cutting, I think, and then it broke down into a cocktail party and a lot of chit-chat. And so I went upstairs and I walked in a row where there were 2 cases. It was a dead end, so there were cases on 3 sides down this row, and it had all these different sets of irons in there, clubs, that Jack used to win different major championships and stuff. And all of a sudden I turn around and Jack is standing there. And Jack said, "What are you thinking?" I said, "It's not the Arrow." And that is so true, because you could take, if he would do it, and of course you'd have to find the money to pay him, but if you could take a set of Sam Snead Blue Ridges and set them up the right way, Tiger Woods could play with them and play well.
Yeah, I think you're right there. And it just, well, you're talking about Nicklaus, I still think he's one of the best par putter that I've ever seen. And Tiger's good at it, but Jack still, to me, is number one.
What kind of, I know you caught him probably at the end of his career, but what kind of a putter was Ben Hogan?
Well, the time I remember best was at the Masters when he had, I think it was 6 on a Saturday. And afterwards he said that every putt was like going to the blood bank. At that time he could hardly take the club back. It was so hard for him to. But early on, like he won Motor City Opens, and he won the at Oakland Hills. He won the 51 U.S. Open when he called it that monster. He was a great putter then. He was younger and he had better nerves. But as he got older, the nerves got to him. You can't win as much as he did without being a good putter.
Who was a better putter, Nicklaus or Arnold Palmer? And then if Arnie was not the stronger putter, what part of his game made him competitive to stay even and then beat Nicklaus?
His desire, his just spirit, the no quit. But Jack beat him more than Arnie beat Jack. And Arnold was Well, Tiger has a lot of Arnold in him. He go these, and so does Mickelson. They go for impossible shots, whereas didn't put himself in those positions as frequently as those guys. Nicklaus was, he hit a lot of fairways and he hit a lot of greens. It wasn't, he didn't come up with all these miracle shots. He didn't need them.
I'm going to ask you another question, and then we're going to take a break, because I know my producer's NASCAR Dave is going to tell me in my ear in a second that we need to take a break. But you watched the recent Masters, and you saw the matchup on Sunday with Tiger and Phil. You saw it was like a walk-in cooler on that first tee when they went and shook hands with each other. There was a lot of chill in the air. Compare the relationship of Mickelson to Woods and the way they react to each other on the golf course as opposed to Arnold Palmer and Jack Nicklaus.
Much the same. Back through, probably through the first 10, 15 years that they played against each other. They've only become so close since they got a little bit older. I wouldn't say that it was as frigid as Tiger is when he plays with Phil. Phil's always smiling and happy to be there, and Tiger he's in his own cone of silence. He doesn't look at anybody. He doesn't smile. He doesn't respond to the gallery or anything like that. And whereas Phil is completely opposite, and Phil signs autographs, until the cows come home. Whereas when he finishes a round, he's surrounded. It seems like in the United States, and right out of the place.
Our guest on this portion of the show is Jack Barry. When we come back, Jack, I want to ask you about some more about those relationships of players, because Ben Hogan was the same way Tiger was. He didn't talk to anybody. In fact, I think Tommy Aaron once told me years ago that he was playing with Ben Hogan, and he was waiting to see if Hogan was going to say anything to him during the round, and finally, about the fifth hole, Hogan looked at him and said, hey, kid, do you have a cigarette? And that was it for 18 holes. We'll come back. This is Phil Kosin. It is the Chicagoland Golf Show. Pay attention to the weather today if you're going out to play or you're going to work. Well, around the yard it won't be too bad, but if you're going out to play, we have thunderstorms with lightning and dangerous lightning, severe weather supposedly heading into our area. One batch this morning and then another batch tonight, so pay attention. This is the Chicagoland Golf Show. This is The Score, Sports Radio 670, and this is CBS Radio Chicago. Chicagoland Golf Show for Saturday, yesterday. Wow, the golf courses were loaded. Now, yesterday was one of those rare days where we didn't have enough golf courses to take care of everybody that wanted to play. I wish it would happen more often. In fact, I wish it had happened 3 days a week, 3 weekdays a week here in Chicago, and keep all the golf course owners happy. And we talked about thunderstorms before. I'm looking at the radar right now, and there is a line forming from Springfield to Peoria to east of Galesburg. And we'll keep an eye on that for you if you're going out to play. Our guest on this portion of the show, Jack Barry, veteran golf writer for Chicagoland Golf, PGA of America Lifetime Achievement Award winner, Hall of Fame, Michigan Golf Hall of Fame, and a guy who once went and said to Rick Smith, "Can you look at my swing for me? I'm having problems." And Rick looked around to see if anybody else was standing there other than our little group and said, "I will help you with your swing as long as you don't tell anybody."
Ha, ha, ha.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Not quite that way.
Okay, we got a lot of guys going out to play. Some guys are just going out to enjoy the day and yak it up and have a good time and maybe have a couple beers along the way. And then there's guys that are more serious that are going to be playing for, a $2, $5, $10 Nassau. And a big part of the game at this time of the year is not only having not only finding your swing and finding the groove and something that will repeat for you, but also it's your mental attitude. And everybody has a different mental attitude, a different way of focusing. I can go around a golf course, as you well know, Jack, and yak my head off all the way around, and then settle down over a shot, make the shot, and then start yakking again. In fact, I was playing once in a Pro-Am with Trevino, and he told me to shut up.
That is very believable.
Yeah, it's the truth. But it was at Kemper Lakes. It was, I don't know, it was a Pro-Am for something. But anyway, you have a guy like Hogan who didn't really say a word to his opponent, no matter who it was, which I don't know if Tiger's like that with everybody. He certainly wasn't going to, other than nice shot and back at you to Phil Mickelson. Tiger's kind of the same way as Hogan, isn't he?
Yes, he is, but that works for him. You notice when he plays in some of his own events, he's laughing, cracking jokes, and apparently when they're just playing during the week down there at Isleworth, why he's talking trash and so forth. But when it's a tournament, there is no Tiger is not a chatty Cathy at all.
Okay, I want to switch gears because on this program we try to cover news. It's not all going to be happy, and certainly with the state that the golf industry is in right now, it certainly is not happy. I thought it was interesting that the National Golf Foundation had a seminar or a series of meetings last weekend, a symposium, whatever they call it, whatever looks good, for a tax deduction for some of these courses and clubs and everything like that. But they were going to talk over the current state of golf. Well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my brain is tainted. We don't need to have the National Golf Foundation tell us that there's problems in golf, especially that it's and a warning to the guy or the two guys that sent me emails that said that they don't want me cutting down tours or talking about stuff like this because it's not happy. Sorry. Come back at 7 o'clock when I get Jim Suddy on the air. It's funny because the National Golf Foundation was the one for that 20-something years ago said, in the Chicago area, we need to build 200 new courses to meet the demand. And we opened up in the Chicago market 165, and absolutely there's not enough play to go around, and it may be even worse this year, although I'm going to say it'll be fine. Everything's going to be fine.
Well, quoting Tiger, going back to Tiger, it is what it is. And, we've got the economy over here on this side of the lake is very poor, but people are playing and people are adapting. Course owners are adapting. I think some of the prices have gone down. As a matter of fact, even over at St. Andrews, I saw where they're lowering the price on the old course. It's now $195 instead of $250. What a break!
I would think I know it's supply and demand, but I would think their demand would, for a course like that, would be pretty much a straight line, wouldn't you?
Well, even over there, they're taking the pound is taking a beating, the euro's taking a beating, and so Scotland and Ireland are the two top destinations for American golfers playing over there. They're having to work hard. They're very, very concerned about the economy and not getting Americans over there.
Well, from where you sit in Detroit, and we're talking to Jack Barry, who covered golf for 40 years for the Detroit News and the Detroit Free Press before he retired, or semi-retired. You're sitting in a spot to where not only are you watching the big three stumble around trying to figure out what they're going to do to continue making cars and keep people employed, and you're also in a state where the tourism, they're not, especially in a place like northern Michigan where it's all about tourism, they're really getting ready to put their finger on the panic button this summer because they just don't know what's going to happen.
Well, they're working hard. I mean, that Pure Michigan campaign, which I'm sure that you watch a Golf Channel, you've seen some of the commercials. showing what a beautiful state we have and how terrific it is, especially in northern Michigan, or from Chicago, just go all the way up the west coast of Michigan. We get the sunset side of Big Lake. Got a lot of good golf courses and reasonable prices. Diamond Springs, which is a real nice course west of Grand Rapids. A friend of mine, Terry Moore, is playing there today. $22 for a round and for walking, and it's a good golf course. Mike Van Fries has worked last a couple of holes there and done good work there. Everybody is buckling down and trying to get people in. And
let me just break in here and say, one thing we don't need is for the gas prices to go from around $2.10 a gallon, which is what I'm seeing here in the suburbs, to $4 again.
That is correct. Well, your price, especially in metropolitan Chicago, is much higher than about any place other than San Francisco, I think. Better, obviously, out of the metropolitan area, or out of the city. And yes, the gasoline prices were over last year when they were over $4. That really, really hurt the northern Michigan horses. And some, there's still a lot of them are still struggling up there. But they have, I was talking with Rick Smith, the Masters, and trying to think of ways to get people to play golf. He says that unfortunately Americans are so in love with stroke play. They'd have a better time and probably play faster if they would, with their buddies, like play alternate shot or play match play, something, mix it up a little bit, and don't make every round the same. Don't make every stroke life or death for the for the $2 Nassau, and you'd have it'd be just a little different taste to play like you do it actually in the Ryder Cup, and with alternate shot and best ball and that sort of thing. And you don't see many places promoting that or doing that, and I think that would make it a lot more fun. Over in Europe, they play more match play than they do here. They're not as stroke play conscious as we are here.
That's what it's all about in this country, is what's the number. It doesn't matter what set of tees you play from. It doesn't matter how many mulligans or breakfast balls you took. It's what the number is. And that, unfortunately, too many golfers have got it in their head that whatever that number is dictates whether or not they had fun that day, and that's not what the game's all about. I agree with you about match play. I think that people would learn more about the game if they played matches. That's all they play at the private clubs, but in a situation like that, you have pretty good policing on the handicaps, because when you play match play, you need to have honest handicaps. It's awfully tough to play match play with people you don't know or someone that they put you together with at the golf course if you go out as a single. On the other hand, alternate shot, it's a fun thing to do, but you can't do it on a golf course that's fully loaded, because you're going to be bumping into the group ahead of you all day long.
Yeah, well, maybe the course could say, okay, today, we're going to try something different. We're going to do alternate shot, and we'll have prizes at the end, something like that. Make it a real occasion.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see some of what people put the thinking cap on their noodle at the golf courses, what they come up with this summer to stimulate play. I think the golf courses are going to have a good year. I didn't say a great year, but I think most golf courses will be fine. We also have an interesting phenomenon here that the private clubs are in trouble. They're having trouble keeping members. That's no secret. It's a national thing. I wrote a story in this issue of Chicagoland Golf, and I also put it on the website that it may be easier. It's more difficult to quit a private club than it is the outfit, and I think that's very true. And I cited some examples in Sarasota where lawsuits are flying for people to get their $27,000 downstroke back at a course in Sarasota, and the course said, well, you can get out of the monthly expenses until we find someone to take your place, or you can forfeit your $27,000 membership fee and give us $18,000 in a lump sum, and then you're done. See, that's not right.
Yeah. Well, we've got two courses, two clubs in Lansing, in the state capital, the Country Club of Lansing and Walnut Hills, where they used to play LPGA's Oldsmobile Open. Remember Oldsmobile?
Sure.
And Walnut Hills sold to about four or five people that bought Walnut Hills, and Country Club of Lansing is in either in bankruptcy or on the ropes. It's just fortunately that's what's been happening.
We have a lot of country private clubs here, not all of them, but we have a lot getting set to play Rent-A-Member this summer.
That's
which
true.
could ultimately, that kind of thing could ultimately hurt the public courses because of the funds that are being diverted from people who otherwise would have played public golf courses this summer.
Well, I don't think there'll be as many going that way as there are people who have dropped out of private clubs, and instead they'll play at the upscale places like over here, Shepherd's Hollow or July in the Lansing area. They're terrific public courses, and you got Cog Hill over there, a wonderful course. I think you'll find more people going that way, more people who have been club members and have dropped out without penalty or having paid off whatever, and playing at these upscale places.
Yeah, it all has to do with tax deductions. Hey, Jack, we're out of time, and I want to thank you for getting up with us this morning. As always, entertaining and informative.
All right. You are welcome. I always enjoy it.
Okay, checks in the mail. We'll talk to you soon.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah. You're getting paid before I am this year. All right, we'll take a break. That's Jack Berry from the Detroit area, longtime golf writer for the News and the Free Press, and he's now a columnist for Chicagoland Golf and anybody else. He's very heavy on the freelancing now in his retirement years. This is Phil Kosin. This is the Chicagoland Golf Show. This is The Score, Sports Radio 670, and you're listening to CBS Radio Chicago. You got the Chicagoland Golf Show, if you didn't know it already. I'm Phil Kosin. And at the beginning of today's show, if you missed it, and it was so good, gave my annual please pay attention to lightning speech. But it does ring true, and I'm looking at the radar now. This is all unofficial, of course. But we've got thunderstorms probably over Eagle Ridge in that area and north and eastern Iowa, and then we've got a big bunch that just fired up south of Peoria all the way to Springfield. Lincoln, Illinois, you're getting it pretty good right now. And I know we have listeners in all those towns. I get a lot of emails from Bloomington, that area, Champaign. So keep an eye to the sky if you're heading out to play. It doesn't look like it's going to be anything sustained, but you never know. And there's a lot behind it up toward Minnesota, too. It looks pretty ugly. So, hey, Dave.
Yes?
Obviously, you're a football fan.
Yes, who isn't?
If you work at the Score. It was one of the best-kept secrets in town. But last weekend, they had the Will County Amateur down at Balmora Woods. We had the general manager and family member, the family owns the golf course, David Mortell, on a couple weeks ago. What makes this one unusual is that Dallas Cowboys quarterback Tony Romo won it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. David told me, they tried to keep it quiet. He told Tony, he's a friend of Mokina amateur John Finnan. And I don't know how they know each other. Perhaps through school, because Tony went to Eastern.
Right.
That's my guess, but I'm not sure. Maybe we'll find out one of these days.
I have a rather obscure connection to Tony Romo.
Do you really?
Yes, my best friend is married to his first cousin. So when they were married about 12 years ago or so, he was actually at the wedding, but of course he was only about 16 at the time, so nobody knew what his future greatness lied ahead.
Sure, yeah. Well, David said that he told Tony that he would try to keep it low-key and not turn it into a circus.
Uh-huh.
Tony came back, 3-shot come from behind victory. It was a very talented field, as it always is. It's golfers from several states. This is a serious amateur tournament, folks. This isn't like a golf outing. And Tony won. And you can go to ChicagolandGolf.com and click on the news hole and see that story and a picture of Tony wearing the fabled brown jacket.
That's impressive.
Yeah, and there's only one brown jacket, so it gets passed from winner to winner. Tony already said he will come back next year and defend. That's his intention. And then the guy goes back to Dallas the next morning, and he goes to McKinney, Texas, and he plays in a 2-day pro-am, and they win that thing. They were like 16 under, he and his pro partner, the next day. So this guy's got some serious game.
Well, apparently he's really working seriously on the upcoming football season, too. So the Cowboys fans are really liking all this. His golf exploits are wonderful and everything, but I'm sure the Cowboy fans would probably say, hey, how about working on a little bit about football, maybe sometime soon? Mm-hmm. Win a playoff game, but
Yeah.
But that's pretty impressive.
Is he still? I know we're running over here, but we'll make it up later. Is he still dating Jessica Simpson?
As far as I know.
Wow.
I haven't seen the screaming tabloids saying it's over or anything like that. So.
Well, I'll tell you, that's a beautiful jacket he's wearing in that picture with David, and they have the plaque and a flag behind him and everything.
But it's one jacket, so it's like one size fits all.
You got it. And that's the joke of it is, sometimes they get, a beefy guy who's got arms like sausages, and apparently the thing hasn't been torn apart yet.
Wow.
I think he said it belonged to his dad. His dad donated in 1990 when they started the event. And I think it looks like a 42 regular, because I know David's dad, Don, real well. And so at least Tony, it looks a little baggy on him. I would say maybe Tony is probably a 40 regular. I can't see the bottom of the coat, so I don't know about length.
Right.
And why a brown jacket? Well, Masters has a green jacket. I'll just say use your imagination.
Yeah, there you go.
You've heard about a green thumb and a brown thumb.
Yes.
All right, let's take a break, and we'll come back on the other side with Doc Suddy. And after we get through the preliminaries with Doc, we'll be soliciting your phone calls. If you have a question about your golf swing, you can talk to one of the top 5 teachers in the country, Doc Suddy, who should be back. Well, we'll find out when he gets back to Cog Hill from wintering in Florida. The call-in number here is 312-644-6767. I'm Phil Kosin. This is the Chicagoland Golf Show. You're listening to The Score, Sports Radio 670, and this is CBS.